Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you all are having a fantastic day today. So today you guys are going to be watching my close to a new gameplay. I was 2 kills off. I think on Twitter, if you haven't followed me already, my Twitter is JbowenDaMan. Make sure you go ahead and follow me on there because it's lit 24/7 on that channel. But I said on Twitter that I think I was 1 kill off, but in reality, I looked back and it was actually 2 kills off. But still, I died from a claymore. A claymore! But still, the gameplay is super saucy. I hope you guys enjoy it, and try the AUG if you haven't already. This thing is extremely underrated. I thought since it was going to be the first, not AR, but first submachine gun, it was going to be bad, but in reality, this thing is completely OP. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to this channel if you're new to the channel or if you've just been watching me and, by any chance you forgot to subscribe. But 58% of you guys who are watching my channel are still not subscribed. That's like half of my viewership. So if you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and do so if you do enjoy my content. Now, if you remember some of my past commentaries, I did talk about having a cycle where instead of every single year they produced a Call of Duty game, they produced them like every 2 to 3 years instead, which will give each development team a little bit more time to work on their specific individual projects. That way, when the game does release, the bugs are at an all-time minimum, the connection will probably be perfect, hit detection will probably be clean. A lot of the issues that we have in every single Call of Duty title, that happens literally every time a Call of Duty game releases. Those things that you always think, they release these games every single year, you wouldn't think that they would make the same exact issue, but the same issues turn up every single year. So I always feel like if the developers or the development team had a little bit more time with their projects, they would be able to complete a lot more than they usually can. But this got me thinking of a even bigger picture. A picture of Call of Duty being at its all-time best. Call of Duty being a game that no matter what, any person or individual will probably enjoy that experience. And that is the idea of having both Infinity Ward and Treyarch quit making their own titles and go ahead and combine forces and make a Call of Duty game together. Now, yes, I know both Treyarch and Infinity Ward, they're not, they don't just completely isolate each other. They're definitely helping each other with each other's projects all the time. Modern Warfare that we're playing right now, I guarantee people at Treyarch has definitely helped out with this project over the course of its life cycle. But that doesn't mean that Treyarch or Infinity Ward can give all of their time helping out the other development team's game. They can kind of assist here and there, but at the end of the day, they have to put all of their focus on their own title that they're making because they're all on a cycle. They all have to have a Call of Duty game done at so-and-so this year. That's how it goes for each development team. And now that Sledgehammer is cut, now we're back to just Treyarch and Infinity Ward being the 2 main development studios, just like it was back in the day in the Modern Warfare series and the Black Ops series before we hit Black Ops 3. But just take a second to think about how much could actually be done if both these studios were working on the same exact title. That is like double the workforce, and we would probably get maybe double to triple the amount of content in our game, and it would be beyond the point of being polished. I just can't, in my right mind, think that a Call of Duty game could be released, not perfect if it was that many people working on that project. But just take a second to think about how much could be done if both the development studios were working together on one project. It would be beyond the point of perfection. I hope it would be, at least, because that is like triple the amount of people who would be working on the project. Now, I don't know if having that many people would be way too confusing to, focus on one vision. Having less people is usually, honestly, in the gaming studio world or gaming development world. I feel like, me personally, I'm not a game developer, so I have no clue, but me personally, I feel like having a smaller group of people work on a project compared to, double the size, having both Infinity Ward and Treyarch working on a game. I feel like the smaller would be better because then they can all come up with a general idea and they're all working on the same game with the same path. But with so many different heads and so many different minds and people, individuals working on a game, having both those development studios working on it could potentially make it a disaster, and it wouldn't release good because both studios have their own vision of how this game is supposed to come out instead of both of them having the exact same mindset. But let's say that's not the issue. Let's say Activision gave everybody who works on Call of Duty games a raise. So now they're like, okay, we got more money, then forget it. We'll all just get into this together. We'll work hard for this, and we all have the right mindset. So let's say both development studios, Treyarch and Infinity Ward, come together and they actually have one vision for a Call of Duty game. Now, first off, this would definitely probably push back the release times of each of their titles, because then they would have to keep games coming out every single year, and that would probably kill, like, I'm being dead serious, it'll probably kill people from, being exhausted and not having any sleep, because that's a lot of work releasing a Call of Duty game yearly when it's only 2 development studios and they're not split to have their own game, so they're both working on the same game every single year. So I feel like Call of Duty would eventually take the Battlefield path, where they release games about every 2 to 3 years, because they actually need time to develop their titles. And at that point, I wouldn't be angry. I seriously wouldn't. And the main reason I wouldn't be angry is because there would probably be so much content to last us about 2 years before they would have to release another Call of Duty game. It's not one studio working on this, it would be 2. The amount of content they could come up with, the amount of ideas they could come up with, the amount of, missions they can stuff into a campaign, or the length of the actual campaign, having that many people working on it. They could make it a absolute masterpiece of a campaign. They could bring in, zombies and spec ops and survival. They could bring in all these modes and maps and game modes and campaigns. They could really extend the life cycle of a Call of Duty title with more people working on it. And to be honest, recently, I would say maybe for the past 5-6 months, maybe even a year, I've been thinking about Call of Duty having more than, a yearly life cycle. Because at the end of the day, I feel like people who play Call of Duty on a yearly basis and on a day-to-day basis are just getting a little worn out and tired of it. Not a lot of people aren't like me, where I can, transfer off and play other titles to, give myself a break. A lot of people just like Call of Duty. There's nothing wrong with that. It's an awesome game, great game, and it definitely provides a lot of fun. But if you're only playing Call of Duty for that much time, it's going to tire you out probably. And in these yearly releases, no matter what they make, it's probably just going to piss you off regardless. You just need a break at the end of the day. So having a Call of Duty game not release yearly, I think that would definitely improve upon the community and how the community reacts and behaves with Call of Duty. Now, I don't know, maybe the Call of Duty community is just a bunch of immature people. We can't handle it. But I think it's just because we're tired and we've been playing this game for so long. And that would definitely tend to stress people out. And with stress comes anger. And with anger definitely comes angry rants all over Twitter. Now, all of that sounds great to me. Having tons of content made by both development studios who hopefully share the same passion for the game. Having a, maybe 2 to 3 year cycle instead of, every single year they release a game definitely would improve my mindset of the game, and it would definitely show that Call of Duty is capable of lasting over a year. Because with these most recent titles, let's be honest, they're yearly made games, so it'd be very interesting to see an actual Call of Duty game that was meant to be played for more than just 1 year, instead of, the initial mindset of this game's going to last a year, we're moving on to the next. It's going to last a year, we're moving on to the next. That mindset kind of rubs off on the game as well from the developers. So to see the developers change a course in their mindsets and their heart and how they feel towards this game being more than just a yearly cycle, and they can actually put more heart into the title, I would love to see that. But my main worries about having both these development studios combine into one is how would they actually even make it work? Treyarch and Infinity Ward are 2 completely different studios, and I feel like the Call of Duty community is split into 2. It's split into people who enjoy Infinity Ward titles more, and there's people who enjoy Treyarch titles more. I've never in a million years played a Treyarch game, at least in the recent years, that even reflects what Infinity Ward tries to make their titles. And the only game that Infinity Ward ever in a million years, well, obviously the game hasn't been made for a million years, but you guys know how I like to say a million years, but you guys would know what I'm saying. Infinity Ward has never made a title that relates to anything that Treyarch has made except for Infinite Warfare. Infinite Warfare was honestly extremely underrated. A very fast-paced Call of Duty title made by Infinity Ward that really resembled the Treyarch vibes. But Infinity Ward usually never makes anything that relates to a more, really fast arcadey style. Infinity Ward always had that nice in-between of arcadey and realism. That's what always made those Infinity Ward games stand out, for me at least, throughout the Modern Warfare series. So it worries me if the two communities would ever decide to join forces like that. I don't know how it'll work. Seriously, because they both just have different mindsets. They both have different ways of going about things, different ways of handling the community, different ways of making the movement and the flow in each Call of Duty title, along with the map designs, different way of handling your custom classes and your perks. Treyarch is usually the typical pick 10 system. Infinity Ward has always dabbled in different features with their creator class. They just have two completely different styles. So it really makes me wonder and also worry as well. But seriously, what would happen if Infinity Ward and Treyarch decided to join forces? How would that even turn out? I think it would be a great idea to have more people working on a single title. Both those genius minds on both of the development studios working on one game would be one heck of a title to play. But at the same time, would they be able to cooperate? Would they be able to help each other with these titles? Because it's no longer, a couple of people from Treyarch going to help out Infinity Ward on their main title, or a couple of people from Infinity Ward going to help out Treyarch on their main title. They always had their own game to make. But if this was the situation and both of them combined forces, their game would both be the same title. They wouldn't be working on a different game. So both of their priorities, both of their mindsets and their passions for their upcoming game would have to be the exact same. I don't know if they'll be able to do that. It'll be very interesting to find out though. But please go ahead in the comments section and let me know on how you guys feel about all of this stuff we talked about today. Do you think it would be cool if Infinity Ward and Treyarch joined forces and made a game every 2 to 3 years? Or do you think they should stick to their own titles and have their own styles, so Call of Duty games don't feel the same every single year and they actually have different vibes to them? A Treyarch game is a Treyarch game because the second you play it, you know that they developed it. And an Infinity Ward game is an Infinity Ward game. Definitely the second you try out their game as well. So let me know down in the comments section on how you all feel about this. But I want to thank you guys so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like, and if you hated it, you can always dislike whatever you like. Seriously, your personal opinions always matter to me. Also, if you did enjoy what you saw, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification button. Helps get notified on all of my recent uploads. If you want to catch me chatting with you guys or showing some behind the scenes clips, you can go over on Twitter at JbowenDaMan. If you want to catch me live streaming, I'm over on Twitch at JbowenDaMan as well. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.